Hi! In this video I would like to show you how I knit a headband or ear warmer like this. It is knitted in garter stitch and with a slip stitch color pattern in the midsection. This is what it looks like on the wrong side. You can see it stretches, and in this video I will show you what I do from start to finish when I knit it, and I will place a link in the video description and in the top right corner in the video, and if you follow that link you will get to my website, and there you will find a written pattern along with sizes and tips and suggestions regarding how to change sizes and how to use the pattern for more than just a headband. So now we'll just get started. Now I have chosen yarn and I have found my circular needle, and I begin with the main color or the background color of my work. And now I will begin to cast on, and what I do first is to make a slip knot like this. I place it onto my needle and I pull gently just to make the first stitch here sit close on the needle, but I don't pull too hard so that it will be difficult to knit in the first round. And to continue, I secure the first stitch here with my left hand. I hold my yarn between my middle finger and my thumb, and then I use my index finger and I go from underneath the yarn and up, and I twist so that I get a loop around my finger. I place my needle on top of the yarn and I go down to the tip of my index finger, up through the loop, and I slip it onto the needle like this, and I just gently pull to make the second stitch sit close to the first one, and I continue index finger from underneath the yarn and up, twist to get the loop around my finger, needle on top of the yarn and go down to the tip of my index finger, up through the loop and slip it onto the needle. And now I will just continue like this until I have cast on the number of stitches that I need for my project. The reason why I use this method to cast on is because it will create an edge that is equally elastic to the knitwork itself, and I will show you afterwards what it will look like. But if you have your own favorite cast on, please use that, it doesn't matter. And now I will continue to cast on until I have the right amount of stitches, and then I will get back to you and show you the next step. Now I have finished my cast on and I'm ready to begin the first rounds. And the first rounds here will be in garter stitch. And when I knit garter stitch in the round, I will have to knit one round of knit stitches only, and the next round in purl stitches only, and repeat. So I'm going to show you how I do it. So here I have the beginning of my round, and I will knit the first round. I stick the needle through the first stitch, beginning from the left and going towards the right. And here actually my slip knot is a little tight, so like this. And when I have brought my needle through the first stitch like this, I pick up the yarn that I hold over my index finger by going under the yarn, securing, and then I bring the yarn through the stitch, and then I slip the stitch off the needle like this. And I continue the same way. Next stitch I stick my needle through, pick up the yarn, back through the stitch and off the needle. And I will continue the same way throughout the round. Here I have the yarn end from my cast on. It is attached to the first stitch on the round. So when I have knitted the last stitch before my yarn, I know I have completed the first round. So I will do that and get back to you for round number 2. You may notice now I get a gap between my needles, and this has to do with the way that I cast on. The first round I knit will be the stitches here will be a little unstable, and if I pull my needles apart, this gap will grow bigger and bigger. So make sure, if you use my cast on method, when you knit the first round, knit the stitch, make sure it ends up close to the last one on the right needle, slip it off, but don't pull them apart. Leave this bit relaxed, and this gap will follow you around on the first round, and then it will disappear. So I'll continue, and when I end up here, I will get back to you with the next step. And now I am finished knitting the first round, and I will purl the next round. And when I purl, I do like this. I use my right needle and I go underneath the yarn and through the stitch from the right and towards the left like this. Then I go back underneath the yarn so that the yarn places itself on top of the stitch between my needles. Then I use my right needle and bring the yarn through the stitch, and I slip it off the needle. I'll show you one more time. I go underneath the yarn and through the stitch like this, back underneath the yarn so that the yarn places itself on top of the stitch that I have picked up. Then I use my right needle and pull the yarn through the stitch and off the needle. I prefer to use this method when I purl because it's fast and doesn't involve a lot of unnecessary movement. But what I do is that I twist the stitches the opposite way on the needle if you can see here, the stitches I knitted before, they angle from right here at the bottom and towards the left at the top. But here my purl stitches are opposite. And this affects how I pick up the stitches when I knit later. So I have to go in from the other side. If you are used to making purl stitches like I do, please do. If you have been taught another method, please use that one. My method is not the only right answer. It is just that I think it is easy and it saves me a lot of time and movement. Anyway, I'm going to continue to purl throughout this round, and I'll continue to knit and purl and knit and purl every other round until my edge has the length that I want. And when it has, I will get back to you on how to continue. Now I have finished my edge in garter stitch and I'm ready to begin on the pattern. I have finished with a round in purl stitches, and I find my second color and the color that I have used so far. I just hide it away for a moment because now I am only going to use this new color. And I have finished with a purl round, so now I'm going to do a knit round. And I will slip and knit every second stitch. And I begin and I slip the first stitch, I knit the second, and then I repeat. Slip and knit, slip and knit. And now you can see what I was talking about before, that when I purl using the method that I do, I twist the stitches the other way on my needle, so that when I pick up stitches when I knit, when I have a purl round, if I'm going to knit the next round, I need to bring my needle through from right and towards the left to open up the stitch and knit. If I were to pick up the stitch from the left again, you can see here that the yarn twists at the bottom of the stitch. So that is what I need to remember when I use the purling technique that I do. For me, I find that there are more pros than cons when using my technique when I purl. So I choose to do it this way. Anyway, I continue to slip and knit and slip and knit. So far it looks like this. And I will continue until I get to the beginning of my round, and then I will get back to you on how to do the next round. Now I have finished the round where I did a slip one, knit one, slip one, knit one repetition. And now I will show you the next round. I continue with pattern color only and hide away the rest of the yarn. and because I did a slip one, knit one in the last round, I will do a slip one, purl one in this round. So I slip one, purl one, slip one, purl one, and continue like this throughout the round. Now it looks like this. And when I have completed the round, I will get back to you and show you the next step. Now my 2 rounds of slipping one and knitting one and slipping one and purling one are finished. This is what it looks like. And for the next 2 rounds, I will find my main color, the one that I used on the edge, and I will hide away the pattern color. The last round I did purl stitches, so now it is time for knit stitches again. And when I use my main color, I knit all stitches, no slip stitches in this round. So I knit the stitches in both main color and pattern color. And I continue to knit all the stitches throughout the round. And now it looks like this. And when I arrive here at the end of the round, I will get back to you on how to continue. And now my knit row in main color is finished. It looks like this. And now I'm going to purl the next round, again using the main color only. So just the same way as before. So I will continue to purl, and when I get back to the end of the round, I'm going to talk about how to continue the pattern. My 2 rounds of main color are finished, and now I will start over with another 2 rounds of pattern. And now I can choose. I can use the same pattern color, or I can find another one, which I'm going to do. And I can also choose how I place the pattern. If I want the pattern to go right on top of each other, I continue to slip the first stitch and knit the stitch that is over the pattern color, like this. Slip and knit, slip and knit. And then you can see that the pattern will go right on top. Or my other option, and the option that I have chosen for my project, is to knit the first stitch and then I slip the stitch that is on top of the pattern color stitch and knit, slip, knit, slip, knit. And now you can see that the pattern will not go right on top but to the side. So these are the two options you have for placing the pattern stitches. And I will continue now to knit my pattern, and I'm going to use the pattern colors that I like. You can do one, you can do two, you can do many. And when my work has the right length, I will get back to you on how to do the rest. Now my work looks like this, and I have achieved the length that I am looking for, and the only thing left to do now is to knit the other edge, which will be the same as the one I started with. And I will do it in the exact same way. Here I have 2 rounds of pattern with 2 colors, and the next round will be in knit stitches. So I will knit the first round, and I'll purl the second round, and then I will knit 1 round, purl 1 round, knit 1 round until the edge here has the same length as the edge at the beginning. And when I'm finished doing that, I will come back and show you how I cast off. And here you can see my garter edge finished. So now the last thing to do is to cast off. And the last round I made was in purl stitches, so I will do a cast off where I knit. If I had knit stitches here, I would do purl stitches in my cast off, just to follow the garter here. So I begin by knitting 2 stitches, then I use my left needle and I bring it through the first stitch and I slip it over the second stitch and off the needle. So now I have cast off 1 stitch. Then I knit 1 more stitch and I take the last stitch and I slip it over and off the needle. And I continue in the same way throughout the round. And this is what it looks like. I have to make sure I do not cast off too tight, not pull the yarn too much. This is mostly a problem if you knit tight in the first place, but make sure quite loosely so that the edge does not become too rigid. If I were to use purl stitches in my cast off, I would do this the exact same way, only instead of beginning by knitting 2 stitches, I would purl 2 stitches and then pick up the first stitch and slip it over the second, and so on. And now I'll continue until I end up here. Then I will have only one stitch left on my needle and it will look exactly like this. And then I would cut my yarn and simply pull the yarn end through here. And after that is done, the only thing left is to attach yarn on the wrong side and wear. So that's it from me. I hope this is useful to someone out there. Thank you for watching.